Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Canadian test case. It's being labeled as a test case for religious freedom and free speech across Canada as a high-profile sportscaster files suit against his employer after being fired for speaking out in defense of traditional marriage. You may remember Damien Goddard, the public figure terminated from Sportsnet after tweeting in defense of his Catholic beliefs against same-sex marriage, and who is bringing his case to the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. The National Post reports Ian Benson, an attorney and expert on constitutional law and religious freedom, says, quote, "In Canada, we've become far too sanguine about restrictions on speech, when in fact we should be encouraging speech, not restricting it," end quote. Goddard's case will be one to keep an eye on in Canada, as his lawsuit is expected to heat up after his recent hiring as a spokesman for the Marriage Anti-Defamation Alliance, a wing of the National Organization for Marriage in the U.S., which is trying to stop the legalization of so-called same-sex marriage. Prop 8 propped up again. Proposition 8 is coming back to court after a unanimous ruling of the California Supreme Court that says sponsors of the bill do indeed have the right to appeal a court decision that struck down the law. You may remember Proposition 8 is a voter-approved ban that was previously struck down in federal court and would have forbidden same-sex marriage. Fox News reports the resurrected piece of legislation will now face scrutiny from the 9th U.S. District Court of Appeals to determine whether it is constitutional or not. The ban was the focus of a large controversy after it was discovered U.S. District Judge Vaughn Walker, who originally struck down the measure, was himself a homosexual who did not recuse himself from court proceedings. Demanding deviance. Homosexual activists in New Jersey are being told no as they continue to demand legalized same-sex marriage. OneNewsNow.com reports Superior Court Judge Linda Feinberg denied same-sex group Garden State Equality's claim that preventing homosexuals from being allowed to legally marry violates both the New Jersey's and the United States Constitution. New Jersey already allows same-sex civil unions, but homosexual activists are still pushing for the right to be, quote, married, since DOMA has not yet been repealed. There are currently 5,447 same-gender civil unions in the Garden State, which makes them accountable for less than 1% of the state's population. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Atheistic hate crimes. 10 North Carolina churches are badly damaged as vandals go on a rampage. Examiner.com reports 8 churches in Stanley County alone were hit in a 12-hour period earlier this week with profane and sacrilegious messages left on walls, windows broken, speakers thrown to the ground, and one reported case of defecation on an altar. The FBI has been called in by local law enforcement to investigate this as a possible hate crime, since messages on walls include things like "God is a lie" and "House of the Devil," while spray-painted swastikas were also found. You can read more about these attacks on Christianity by visiting our resource page. Just click on the link right outside the screen. Saving Santa. The war on Christmas has been officially kicked off with a small victory for the Christian tradition of Santa Claus. TheBlaze.com reports that after a man who dressed as Santa to bring chemo patients some Christmas cheer was kicked off a cancer center's grounds in South Carolina, public outcry was immediate. The response in favor of the presence of Santa Claus prompted a rediscussion of a recently made Hollings Cancer Center holiday policy that Christmas was going to be more secular this year in response to complaints from several individuals who said they felt, quote, left out. Let's just say that after revisiting the issue, Hollings Cancer Center has decided to allow Santa to continue his rounds with patients. Sacrilegious Spoof. Former Playboy playmate and sex tape celebrity Pamela Anderson has been selected to play the Virgin Mary in what Reuters news service says will be a comic spoof of the Nativity. A Russell Peters Christmas, which will air on Canadian television network, says the comedian will deliver, quote, an irreverent twist on the Christmas special, making it unlike anything viewers have seen before, end quote. What promises to be a sacrilegious program will air on December 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, with celebrities Michael Bublé, John Lovitz, and Ted Lang will also be present for the, quote, twisted festivities. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. And be sure to check out The Vortex today, where Michael comes to us from Rome. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.